大家好，我是 Amber， 欢迎您收看我的频道，也希望新来的朋友订阅点赞。今天一大早我起床下楼就看到我先生在这黑板上写呀写的，原来他是想解答一些我询问他的问题。因为昨天他加班回来也很晚，没有时间答复我，所以今天他想就这些问题呢做一个回复，而且他今天还要准备再去加班，所以我非常开心能够呢把他将要讲述的问题录制下来供大家参考。
You asked me about the terms left and right in American politics. And so I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to give you my understanding of what people mean by left and right. And that has changed some over time, but I wanted to start with an understanding of the traditional policies of the left and the right. Now, left and right are not all there is in U.S. politics, and I'll explain that in a few minutes, some of the other political traditions, but for right now, I just want to focus on the left and the right. And so in very traditional terms, the right is usually described as conservative. Nowadays, people think about conservative in regards to moral and religious aspects, but originally the term conservative just means minimal. If you have a conservative approach to any problem at all in life, any issue, it is a minimal approach. And so in the traditional conservative right politics, they say things like the business of government is business. This means that the job of government is to assist with business. The job of government is to grow business, to grow the economy. And this conservative, this minimal approach has traditionally meant hands-off, that the government should not interfere with business. It should be hands-off business, and it should let the market, let the economy run itself. That the free market, allowing businesses to freely compete, will be the best way to benefit both the businesses and the consumers, the rest of the people. This conservative approach, these people will say things like government should assist with infrastructure, and you'll hear that a lot this year. There's a big argument about infrastructure. The government should assist with infrastructure which improves the industry ability to get supplies to the manufacturer and get the goods, the things that are produced, to market to the people that buy them. So they will say that the government should be assisting with infrastructure that includes roads and bridges and train tracks and waterways, where supplies and things that are going to be sold at the market move back and forth. They will also say, they will admit that public education is important for the government to provide, especially during factory work hours. Public education in the Western world developed partly so that children would be cared for. They would be doing their learning while being supervised by the teachers, so that the parents could go to work. And so even the conservatives will agree that there should be an education system, and it should be during work hours so that the adults can go to work. Now, the conservative, the minimal approach, includes laws and punishments that severely affect those who steal from corporations, but don't punish corporations that steal from people, because that's just business. When corporations steal money from people, a conservative style government will almost never punish the people in those corporations that steal from people. If you think about the economic collapses that have happened during the last 30 years or so, the bank collapses of banks, almost never did any of the people involved in that go to jail, even if it is shown that they violated laws or principles of banking. In the 2008 economic crash that produced the recession, none of the bank executives that had to be bailed out by government taxpayer money to the tune of billions and billions of dollars in order to keep the banking system from completely collapsing, none of the corporate executives of the banks went to jail for any of that. In fact, most of those executives got huge bonuses from the corporation and continued on running the banks even after they had to be bailed out by government money. However, if somebody steals $1 million from corporations, if an individual does that, those people are typically sent to jail for a long time. The laws are set up so that corporations and the people who run the corporations are actually protected from prosecution. Okay, so that's the right, and I think it's already obvious I tend to lean toward the left.
Okay.
But I can, even though I have a bias, I can at least give you some understanding of the difference between the two. So on the left, the term that's often used to describe them is progressive. And literally that means moving forward. Progressives, the left, are generally not satisfied with the way things are now. They want them to move forward and improve. And they want them to improve for the sake of the real people, not just for the businesses and corporations, but for real individual people. So people on the left, the progressives, will say things like, conservatives are people who already have a lot, and they only want to conserve it for themselves. So the progressives will say the conservatives are not truly conservative. They are only conservative in the way that protects their own assets, the things they already have. Progressives will say things like, we want to assist everyone to be able to participate in the economy. They don't just want to protect the economy, they want to assist people to be able to utilize and participate in the economy. Progressives will say things like, businesses have structures that allow them to organize. Corporations. We want laborers to have equal ability to organize. So workers' unions and protections for workers, so that it's a fair negotiation between the employer and the employee. The employer, by the fact of having a company, is already organized in a way to defeat and overwhelm the laborers. And progressives say laborers should have an equal ability to organize so that the negotiation between employer and employee is equal. Progressives will say that infrastructure should be anything which assists everyone to participate fully in the economy. So that doesn't sound too different from conservatives, and it's not very different, but it is a little bit different. So progressives will say that infrastructure certainly should include things like roads and bridges and trains, just like conservatives, and public education. But progressives will suggest that the public education system should be designed for the benefit of the student, not specifically for the benefit of the companies that need adult employees freed up from childcare. Progressives will say things like there should be lifetime education, not just during childhood, so that everyone, including adults, can participate in the economy throughout the lifetime. Conservatives will agree to an education system during childhood, but they become resistant when you talk about government supporting an education system into adulthood. Progressives want there to be education throughout the lifetime so that people can participate. Progressives will suggest that infrastructure should include things like child care, so that even those children who are not in school, their parents can participate in the economy. Healthcare, if people are not healthy, if people cannot easily get access to affordable health care, they're going to have trouble being good employees. Job training as the economy changes. So conservatives will generally resist government programs that help retrain workers from a job that has gone away because of progress. Progressives will suggest that those people who are losing their jobs because of increases in technology should be retrained so that they can work in the new economy. And progressives will tell you that there needs to be government assistance to the poor and disabled so that they are able to participate in the economy. Conservatives will generally suggest that these programs are a waste because they do not generally help the corporations and the businesses. Progressives will say that the corporations and businesses get plenty of help. The poor and the disabled deserve help so that they can be part of the economy. They can participate in employment, they can participate in purchasing, they can participate in transportation, but that only happens with government assistance.